Hello, everyone. Welcome. Happy Tuesday. Hope you guys are having a good day. So, again, this is um, just a virtual day because I am iStep testing. So, that's why we're not doing Google Meets. However, tomorrow we will be back in class together on a Google Meet. So, just make sure you're showing up during your class time for that. So, today, what you are going to do, you are going to teach me, Mr. Marvin, something new. And I will explain that in just a moment. So your learning objective for today, students will use nonfiction sources to find information about a notable person of Black History Month of their choice. So we're going to take just a we're going to take a short day off from To Kill a Mockingbird. And it's Black History Month. And well, one, um, there's a lot of different cases that we can talk about that are real, that kind of are similar To Kill a Mockingbird. But I also just want to take a day to celebrate some really cool people of African American descent, of African descent, just of anyone who has black or brown skin. And I am always willing to learn new people that are super cool or are admired by you. And so that's what we are going to use today for, just as a little way to just pause and take a break from To Kill a Mockingbird and to learn something cool that I might not have known before. So your bell ringer for today is over the content from yesterday. So if you didn't watch the Ed puzzle, you're probably going to be a little lost. And if you didn't watch the Ed puzzle, shame on you, because you're supposed to. So make sure you go back and do that. But the question is, out of the three options that we covered yesterday, simile, metaphor, and personification, which does Harper Lee use in the following sentence? Some tinfoil was sticking in a knothole just above my eye level, winking at me in the afternoon sun. So if you are unfamiliar with the different types here, similes, metaphors, personifications, again, look back at the presentation from yesterday or the Ed Puzzle Google Meet recording, and that should help you out. So once you have completed the bell ringer, which is also going to count as attendance, so please make sure you do that. You are going to hop over to the assignment, Teach Me Something New, and I'll look at that in just a moment. And you are going to first make sure that you've completed your character playlist. If you haven't finished that yet, there's really no point in you doing this. You have that 24-hour grace period, remember, and so we don't want to abuse that. And so make sure that you complete that. Then you are going to find someone / tell me about someone who is black or brown and means a lot to you. So this is also personal. If there's somebody that you've learned about over the last, 14, 15 years that you've been alive, and they are either inspirational to you, or you think they're just incredibly interesting, or they garner a lot of respect, then tell me about it. You'll give me the basic information about this person and tell me why you think they're awesome. So if we are looking at some requirements here, basic info, you'll just need to give me. So age, birthday, death date, if applicable, important locations that they lived or work, any occupations that they had, a picture of them, several accomplishments in their life that you find incredibly impressive, or accomplishments that continue to make an impact on us today. So if you're doing like George Washington Carver, I believe he was the individual who kind of like discovered how we could use the peanut. Let me see actually, just real quick. Yes, so a quick Google search, George Washington Carver, agricultural scientist. He made hundreds of products that had peanuts and sweet potatoes and soybeans, and he's brilliant in that sense. There's also there's whole lists of inventions and scientific advancements that wouldn't be possible without African Americans or people with black or brown skin. So you could talk about that. And then once you've done that, list or at least 5 complete sentences explaining why you admire this person or why you think that they're cool. So those are the requirements, and again, this PowerPoint will be posted. So if you look over at the assignment, I have the exact word for word slide posted right here. And then also try to choose someone that I haven't heard of before. Be sure to look at the PowerPoint to see a list of people that you cannot choose. So I do not want to see a teach me something new about Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, or any famous current basketball player. Michael Jackson, no. Barack Obama, he's great, but no. Martin Luther King Jr., Malcolm X, Harriet Tubman, no. Famous artists like Tupac, Biggie, Rakim, DaBaby, Tyler the Creator. The whole point with Teach Me Something New is to try and find people that aren't super popular and famous already and expand our knowledge base even more. So you might have to do a little digging. You might have to reach back in your memory or just look up a list of really famous, like the announcements have had African Americans that have been incredibly important or have been doing great things every day. The announcements for Maryville High School. So you could do one of those people, or you can, like, there's tons of lists online. So you'll have to do a little bit of digging on your own to find someone. But when you do, you'll jump back to the assignment. And so again, let's cover the information. So you need the person's name, put it right there. Put a picture, you can just copy and paste it from Google Images. Basic info, so birthday, date of death, if they're deceased, some important places they lived, and occupations. Then important events, I put 5 bullet points here. Use at least 5 events. You are more than welcome to put more. And then personal application, why are they so great to you? This is where you'll put your 5 complete sentences. So for instance, if I were to do this as a student, I would talk about Bass Reeves. And he is one of the coolest people that I have ever heard of. Mostly because I don't know if any of you have seen Tombstone. It's kind of a famous like Wild West movie. And I like Westerns, so I've always heard of people like Wyatt Earp, Doc Holliday, just kind of the typical cowboys and the lawmen that try to keep the Wild West tamed a little bit. But I had never heard of this guy until very recently. And this guy blew them all out of the water. And I don't know why more people don't know that. So Bass Reeves, he was born July 1838 as a slave. So pretty terrible beginning, but then he runs away, he gets his freedom, and afterward, he becomes the first African-American U.S. Marshal, which the U.S. Marshals in the Wild West were pretty much, they were the lawmen that dealt with the most dangerous criminals around. So U.S. Marshals are more than just police officers. They take care of the worst of the worst. And so this guy, Bass Reeves, worked primarily in Oklahoma, which because of some agreements with the Native Americans who lived in Oklahoma, the U.S. government really couldn't be there. So there weren't any police officers, there weren't any soldiers. The U.S. Marshals were the only people who could get criminals from Oklahoma. And it's estimated that out of the 22,000 people living in this part of Oklahoma, over 17,000 of them were criminals. Really intense place. So contrast that, in the entire history of the U.S. Marshals, over 200 marshals have been killed in the line of duty. Over 120 of them died in Oklahoma during this time. So it is one of the most dangerous spots in all of U.S. history to be a lawman. And this guy, Bass Reeves, worked there for over 30 years without ever getting shot. He arrested over 3,000 people. Only one criminal ever got away. He had his coat buttons shot off, he had his hat shot off, his gun belt shot off, reins shot out of his hand, but he was never hit. He was brilliant. He often tricked criminals with disguises. Some of the stories are just crazy that he would do. He couldn't read, and so that would be a problem because he had to do a lot of writing and a lot of reading when he was picking up bounties or turning someone in. But what he would do is he would have someone read the bounty to him and memorize it in his head and like put a symbol on the top of that page that he would memorize. And so when he found that person out in Oklahoma, he would give him the subpoena for them to be arrested, and he never got it wrong, even though he couldn't read because he was a slave. He was also super courageous. It's written about him that he never got unsettled. He once arrested 17 men at once, and another time there were 3 like outlaws that held him up at gunpoint, and they like told him that they were going to kill him, and they asked like, "Do you have any last words?" And he's like, "Yeah." "What's the date?" "Well, why do you want to know the date?" "So I can put it down for my arrest records for you." "What are you talking about?" And then before they could even knew what happened, he had grabbed one of them by the throat, disarmed him, and arrested the other 2. So he is the coolest lawman to ever live, I think. And lastly, he carried around these cards, like, so criminals would put up signs to particular marshals or deputies or whatever saying, "Hey, if I see you, I'm going to kill you." And he would take them off of trees or posts or whatever and carry them around as a source of pride. So he was fearless, brilliant, and the coolest thing is, and what I would put for my personal application, he was born a slave. He didn't let that define him. Even though he couldn't read, he did his job better than anyone else. He was incredibly respectful, and he harbored good relationships with the native people. So he was just in essence the perfect lawman and the perfect citizen. He's super cool. So that's who I would do. And so of course you can't do that. I took him. And so remember, don't do these people. But that's what you are going to be doing. And so if you have questions while you're doing this, email me. I should be able to get back to you pretty quick, even though we'll be doing the I-step. So as I said, if you guys have any questions, let me know. But otherwise, have a great rest of your day. I'll see you guys tomorrow at the beginning of class period for our Google Meets. And be sure that you have studied the vocab for your quiz tomorrow. So I'll see you guys on Wednesday.